Alright, so it's actually 4 in the morning as of recording this, and right as I was about to go to sleep, I get hit with the patch notes for Type Soul, right? Now, I've read nearly every piece of new content and changes, and some of them were actually kind of insane, both good and bad, but knowing this community, this patch log is probably going to be more on the bad side of things. Now, let's start at the top of all of this and make our way all the way down. And I'll just be giving my honest thoughts and feelings on these changes. So starting off with the hell portion of the update, this is mostly just information we're already aware of, but if you don't already know or under a misconception, hell is not a permadeath area, but it does something similar where if you lose all your lives within hell through purely PvP, you'll be forced to fight yourself in purgatory and you have to win in order to escape. Some things we didn't know, however, are factors where you can actually regain lives through killing hell mobs, and you can't lose your lives through any means aside from PvP. This means you can die from mobs, environmental hazards, and it won't affect your life. Now moving on to the crafting system, apparently it works just like Minecraft, where you can craft items, skills, and even artifacts needed for specific things, which I assume is solely for hell mode quests and such. Now looking at the balancing for each race is actually kind of crazy. So we already know about Aran cards, about how they're limited to only one partial move, but it actually seems like Quincies got hit the hardest out of all the races. So as you can see, Quincies can no longer heal half a bar through popping lets, and they also cannot use a cybernetic alongside lets, meaning you have to choose from the lets variants or the cybernetic move, which acts as like a third partial. I feel like Quincy's not being able to heal through popping lets is actually kind of overkill, especially with the things mentioned later on in the list being a factor. For Soul Reapers, they also got hit pretty hard, with Soul Reapers gaining way less health when popping Visored, and apparently they get no innate passives or defense without Visored. They also got hit with a Shikai stasis debuff where their Shikai moves deal 10% less damage than normal. Now moving on, they're adding these weird bundles for new players, which I guess is supposed to contain some starter shit like rerolls or something that helps progress their character. Honestly, I can't imagine anyone buying these regardless of what it might offer. So now we're onto the contents of hell, where we have the highway, where the goal is to find crystals, avoid the cleaner, and defeat the guardian of hell, right? Then Ring 1 is supposed to be a PvP realm where it has raids, quests, and mobs, which is supposed to be insanely dangerous but highly rewarding. Some of these game modes are self-explanatory, like King of the Hill. King's Gambit, where a player is chosen to be assassinated and has to survive, is honestly a really dumb idea for whoever's going to be ganged up on. Fragment is the Type Soul CC raid, where Arankars defend a site with Quincies and Soul Reapers trying to take a fragment from them and win once they bring it to their own side. As for the rest of the locations, we only get descriptions of other rings and locations, which aren't really worth mentioning. Next up, we actually have Fullbringer. Every Fullbringer element has a mode already, which is good to hear, but for some reason, we actually only have one common Fullbring, whereas we got 2 mythical and legendary Fullbrings, which is kind of weird to see. We also got some element reworks and additions, such as Spirit and Devil finally getting their segundas, along with some new shrifts and volts such as the Almighty, Nimble, and the Overkill. We also already knew about the new Benihime rework for their Shikai and Bankai. Next, apparently, we're in fucking Fortnite now, because we got a battle pass which can be progressed through culling games or ranked, which offer exclusive rewards, so they're pretty much incentivizing playing these modes for whatever they offer. Next on the list, we actually have another category for crafting, where you can use items in your inventory to craft specific items that turn into new accessories that can have special properties or passives or even skills that modify your play style. Now, I might sound crazy for saying this, but this really just sounds like shoulder buddies with extra steps. Like, there's no way they actually went back on their word and just re-added buddies into the game, which honestly, in my opinion, just killed the game for me. Next up, we actually have some interesting additions and overhauls. We already knew about KT being revamped, hopefully more optimized than before, but let's not get our hopes up, right? Fullbringers actually have a homeworld for themselves, and Adult Nell is basically the new banker NPC. Now for AFK World, it pretty much lost a lot of value. You can't get anything valuable like essences, special weapons, or ultra skills anymore, and instead you just get common tier loot. Next we get into rank / clan wars rework, where they combine it into one place and pretty much just acts the exact same. I'm not sure why they called it a rework when they just moved it around, but we actually do get ranked 3v3s, which is going to be interesting to see. I guess the only worthwhile change for ranked is that rank point system was removed and you just get rewards upon winning the match like you used to back in the old days. Next up we have medic, and for fuck's sake, this is literally just law written all over these new skill names. Now we move on to the second page of content, where we finally get into the long awaited vows, which can change up your build or direction of a fight depending on the buffs and debuffs the vow offers. We already knew about vow potential, but there's actually 3 more vows to obtain. Vow of Fist is literally just the 8 inner gates, where once you hit a damage threshold, you can tap into the inner gates and start doing more damage while slowly losing health while it's active. You can't use sub modes like Visored or Let's with this, so you're only really going to see this on Aron cars, and even then, it doesn't even work in mode. Next we have Vow of Luck. This vow actually seems like the most underwhelming vow, since hitting a damage threshold will randomly either cause you to deal 5% more damage with an attack or lose a ton of Ray. Hitting 3 jackpots in a row will actually make you heal and give infinite Ray for the duration of the song, but without knowing the specifics of the vow, I can't really imagine anyone using this vow either. Lastly, we have Vow of Sacrifice, which essentially acts like the Umbro Knight enchant, where using a move will trigger a clone to throw out another move depending on what you use, which we've actually seen in a sneak peek with Hakuda, and this vow actually works with other skill trees other than Hakuda, such as Kendo. The only downside to this is you just can't use a sub mode. So again, this seems like another Aron card type vow, which is honestly kind of weak, since I feel like vows should have more creative penalties aside from just barring you from using a sub mode. Next up we have an interesting thing called the Holy Sword Excalibur, which I assume acts like a Sullen Sword of sorts, similar to Rogue Lineage, but the weapon is exclusive to Quincy and can only be wielded by one person. Yes, one person. A person may lose the sword if conditions aren't met to keep the weapon, but honestly, I just imagine somebody with specs just holding onto the sword for themselves. So next up we have the Devil Trigger for the Yamato, which replaces your sub mode and upgrades your Yamato crit within the form, which is interesting to see because Aron cards don't have a sub mode to begin with, so they can actually get a sub mode through this. Now we move on to Ancient Vasakar, where it's a newly obtainable racial path for Aron cards, and the path actually offers infinite hero, a passive that can guard break the enemy if you get guard broken, and some hidden passives at the cost of losing your Vasto variant. I don't mind these except for the whole our guard broke in Ancient Vasto, therefore I get punished and eat a Cero Blade. Like, that just sounds like a really bad, like, that just sounds terrible. Even if it is a really long cooldown, you shouldn't be punished for playing good. Now we have clan stats, which we actually kept, but I assume some of these are tweaked a bit since we actually kept the stat boosts and have passives for each clan that's legendary or above. I won't really get into these other than the Fullbringer clans, which actually have their own passives. Some of these are on screen are actually pretty decent, especially the Tsukishima clan, where you basically just put a move on cooldown. We also already got a Keto tree for Fullbringers, which is a relatively small list, so I doubt anybody will fully commit to this tree as of right now. Next we have True Modes. Obviously we knew about these, and clashing with True Modes is still a thing for some reason. Honestly, I'd rather just wait for them to pop True Mode so I can pop my own True Mode and actually just go crazy against the other guy. Now, actually getting into what already has True Mode, some elements like Snake or Light doesn't have a True Mode on release, which is a bit fucked up for those who really like them. So either they gotta wait for the True Mode to be released or pick another element that already has a True Mode available. Now we actually get into some of the balancing, which is actually the most controversial part about the entire update. Some of these were already mentioned, but Partial Essence got reworked where landing an Oscarus now resets a cooldown of your partial move, which is honestly pretty weak. I really figured it'd be something better or something different, but I can't imagine a lot of people using this unless it's like a specific partial move like Dive and Hunt. Now here's where things get a little weird, because Ultra Skills and Essences now share the same slot. You can no longer have both. So when they mentioned Ultra Skills being reworked, this is what they had in mind. I can't really imagine anyone using an ultra skill in exchange for an essence slot, especially if they both have the same requirements to even use. A lot of these balance changes aren't super important to mention, so I'll just point out the notable ones, such as Hakuda manual crits can now up tilt if you're using the air variant of the Hakuda tree. A couple weapons actually got an M1 speed nerf, such as Okiura Katana, Hollow Burden, Shadesworn, Karen, Muay Thai, and Karate. Oh, and Zweis? That shit got removed from the game. Like, what? What were they thinking? Like, oh, what can we do about Zweis? Which is probably one of the only good Quincy weapons. Oh, I know. Let's just delete this shit from the game entirely! Like, what were they thinking? So, now, moving on. Apparently, crits now gives Soul Style back. I guess they changed their mind about that. But we also have some new Superstar passives. Well, just one passive. And by the way, you'll notice they made a ton of changes for Superstar. And I'm not sure why. Maybe a dev is just a super fan of the Shrift. But now they got a bunch of new shit like hitting Shrift moves will now summon James to cheer you on and increase your damage and defense by a small amount for 6 seconds. And also heals you by 2%. Now, the crazy part is, this shit only has a 3-second cooldown, so if you land both moves 3 seconds apart, you'll be healing 4% as a result. Next up, they actually changed Superstar in Miracle Revives, where Miracle Revives actually deal damage to anyone around you once you're reviving, which really just punishes whoever is playing the game correctly, again. As for Superstar, the revive doesn't have a limit anymore, and instead revives you 25% less effective every time you revive. So the first time you revive, you'll get 100% of your health back, but on your second revive, you'll only get 75% back, and so on. Now we move on to the last and kind of crazy fucking changes I've probably ever seen, but Hakuda negation can now be parried or dodged, effectively making it the worst counter in the game. Then we see every single ultra skill lost a huge amount of damage, some dealing 40, some doing even less, effectively making ultra skills the most useless part of the game. They already made it so you can only use either an essence or an ultra skill. You can't have both, but now you can't even pull off an ultra skill without dealing genuine baby damage. All that trouble of landing M1s and crits for U-meter, you're only going to do like 40 damage, right? I don't know what they were thinking, since ultra skills were already going to lose a ton of value and see way less use, but now they're definitely never going to see any use at all. Imagine landing a Serum W that deals roughly the same amount of damage as a Flash Fang. You'd just be doing yourself an enormous favor by using Unseen instead. It's actually insane how much they despise ultra skills, but if that weren't enough, True Blood got removed from the game. Huh. Probably one of Quincy's only saving graces, just for it to be blatantly removed from the game. Like, I'm actually at a loss for what I'm reading, because this sounds like something a Type Soul copy would pull if a dev got their shit kicked in by someone using True Blood, or even Zweis, because that shit got removed too. Now, overall, the content that the game is adding is alright for the most part. A few issues like straight up re-adding buddies to the game, but overall, it's alright in my book. But some of the balances and the changes to a lot of things, especially for Quincies, like, I'm convinced they actually hate Quincies now. Like, it's downright criminal. Like, imagine running True Blood, Zweis, Flamethrower with Serum W. Well, guess what, fuckhead? You can't use any of that. And if you want to use Flamethrower, you can't use Let's. And Serum W now hits as hard as a wet paper towel. Anyways, that's all I got to say about the update. Let me know what you guys think about the entire patch notes. I'd love to read up on some of your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys in game tomorrow. See ya.